Hello students and welcome back to the explanation of the content of Lost Spring, and this is the last part. We were on page number 18 and we need to discuss the last two paragraphs of this page. And here in this last part, Anis Jung analyzes the reasons behind the terribly pathetic condition of the bangle makers. So we will get started with the content, the text. The cry of not having money to do anything except carry on the business of making bangles, not even enough to eat, rings in every home. The young men echo the lament of their elders. Little has moved with time, it seems, in Firozabad. Years of mind-numbing toil have killed all initiative and the ability to dream. So this is one of the scenarios. This is one of the reason. What is it? That yes, the people involved in bangle making, they know that their situation, social, economic, physical situation happens to be really bad, and they know that. But the problem is that they are so tired, exhausted with their life and lifestyle and working, that they have completely given up to revolt, given up to oppose, given up to go against the carrying on the same methodology of making bangles. They do not want to do anything revolting. They do not want to do anything phenomenal. They want to live simple lives, and that is why they think that let's keep going with that. There are two words, difficult ones. One is lament, that is LAMENT. In the third line, the young men echo the lament of their elders. Lament is the expression of grief, suffering. The old people, they keep on saying that we have suffered, we are suffering. The young men say the same thing. But the problem is that they are completely exhausted. That is what the writer has used the phrase mind numbing. Numbing is that losing feeling or any sensation. Sometimes during extreme cold, when we are outside for a long period of time, we cannot feel our fingers. They lose the sensitivity. That kind of mind numbing hard work. They are working every day for hours and hours, and they don't know when to and where to start their opposition, whom to ask for something for them. That is why they just don't have the ability to dream. Then the author comes up with a suggestion. Why not organize yourselves into a cooperative? I ask a group of young men who have fallen into the vicious circle of middlemen who trap their fathers and forefathers. Vicious circle, this particular phrase is very important. The question, the long answer type question, is usually asked. Vicious is destructive, savage, cruel. So the narrator asks that why do not you become a cooperative and start working among yourselves? Let the middlemen go. You give your material straight away to the wholesale dealer and earn more profit. Why don't you do so? And see, this kind of thing has happened with Amul and many other cooperative societies where people directly involved in the production are dealing with the wholesale dealers and there is no middleman. So the middlemen usually take away most of the profit, keeping people like the bangle makers in utter poverty. So when cooperative society is created, that doesn't happen. Slowly, gradually, the socio-economic status of the people at the lowest level increases, improves. So that is why the narrator gave a very good suggestion that you should become a cooperative. Let the middlemen go. But the problem is that the middlemen are very strong there. And they not only clutched their forefathers, but they are also entrapping the youngsters of this generation. Even if we get organized, we are the ones who will be hauled up by the police. Hauled up here means taken away. And what will happen to them? Beaten and dragged to jail for doing something illegal. So, whenever these people, the youngsters, they try to revolt against the middlemen and many other people, what happens? The police takes them. The police arrest them and put them inside the jail. So, when that happens repeatedly, obviously anyone will lose hope, anyone will lose courage, and they will continue to do the work because at least they are living a normal life. Otherwise, the police will come anytime and trouble them. And the problem, there is another problem, that there is no leader among them. There is no leader among them, no one who could help them see things differently. Their fathers are as tired as they are. They talk endlessly in a spiral that moves from poverty to apathy to greed and to injustice. So, what happens that these people, whether it be the older generation, the younger generation, they keep on saying the same things, that poverty is there is no sympathy, lack of emotion, lack of sympathy is called apathy. There is no sympathy from anywhere for them. That is neither the government, nor the administration, nor the NGOs. Nobody is sympathetic towards them. And people are terribly greedy. May it be the administrators or the politicians or the social workers, everybody is filled with greed. May it be the policemen or the middlemen or sahukars, they are greedy people, and all these greedy people are responsible for the injustice imposed on the bangle makers, and they know that, but they are completely helpless in this greed filled and unjustifiable society. Well, next paragraph. Listening to them, I see two distinct worlds. One of the family caught in a web of poverty, burdened by the stigma of caste in which they are born. So, the two distinct worlds, completely separate, completely opposite worlds, seen by the author are: number one, first one happens to be the bangle makers. The bangle makers who are burdened by the stigma of the caste in which they are born. Stigma is a mark of disgrace. The problem is that they are born in this particular community. Their forefathers have been doing it, and that is what they teach their children. And the second problem is that they are so poor that they do not have any courage to do anything. They don't have any money, financial support to do something else. And that is why they keep on doing the same job, generations after generations. And then there is the other side, the opposite, the other distant world. Which one is it? It is the vicious circle. The vicious circle of sahukars, the middlemen, the policemen, the keepers of law, the bureaucrats, and the politicians. These people, they form that vicious circle. Vicious circle not only encircling but entrapping the people living in Firozabad, those who are making bangles. They keep them poor, they keep them helpless, they keep them there, not to get education, not to be healthy, not to be prosperous, never to get out of the area, and never ever to do any other job. All these people, they are responsible for imposing that heavy baggage of making bangles years after years on on a young child, and the child is unable to take it off. The child knows nothing. Even when we are talking about Mukesh, he is not educated. He doesn't know anything. He wants to do some other job, but he only knows how to make bangles. So these people are the vicious circle. They are responsible. Together, they have imposed the baggage on the child that he cannot put down. So, the child born in this community in Firozabad, in the bangle making industry, is heavily burdened with the stigma of caste, with poverty, with no education, and making bangles, that after some years, the child ultimately loses all his hopes, ultimately loses the courage, ability, and is not ready to do anything, and he forgets to dream. Before he is aware, he accepts it as naturally as his father. To do anything else would mean to dare, and daring is not part of his growing up. When I sense a flash of it in Mukesh, I am cheered. I want to be a motor mechanic, he repeats. He will go he will go to a garage and learn. But the garage is a long way from his home. I will walk, he insists. Do you also dream of flying a plane? He is suddenly silent. No, he says, staring at the ground. In his small murmur, there is an embarrassment that has not yet turned into regret. He is content to dream of cars that he sees hurtling down the streets of his town. Few airplanes fly over Firozabad. So, when we are talking about the younger generation of bangle makers, and when we are saying that the vicious circle doesn't let the young generation get out of this industry, but then we have somebody like Mukesh who dares to dream and he is very consistent. He wants to be a motor mechanic and he is ready to go a long way, and he insists that he will do anything to become a motor mechanic. And the narrator is quite happy that somebody dares to dream. And but then she asks a question that would you like to fly a plane? And Mukesh cannot understand much and he says no. There is a small murmur and there is an embarrassment that has not yet turned into regret. This is an important line because the boy is embarrassed because he doesn't know much about planes, flying planes, he has not seen them. He has seen cars in his town, Firozabad. The cars hurtling down the roads. Hurtling is to move fastly. He has seen cars around him. That is why he wants to be associated with cars and that is why he wants to be a motor mechanic. But he hasn't seen an airplane. That is why he doesn't know how to fly it and anything about it. So his embarrassment is, up until now, not turned into regret. But for how long will it remain an embarrassment and not a regret? That is the question. We never know what will happen with Mukesh, whether he would become a motor mechanic or like his family, like his father, elder brother, and many other youngsters in his neighborhood, he would also become a bangle maker and would not dare to dream. But still, we have hope. Mukesh has hope because he is daring. He might fight against that vicious circle and comes out with a trophy of becoming a motor mechanic. Well, with this, we come to the end of the chapter. Not only a very thought provoking chapter, but a very realistic one also. It was written many years ago, but it is still relevant. We still find rag pickers around us, uneducated, unhealthy, poor, tarnished. The bangle making industry in Firozabad, it is still flourishing with thousands of child laborers in it. and nobody is doing anything, because everybody who can do something is involved in the vicious circle. So I will take you now to the theme, and now you can understand the theme very clearly. It's here on page number 21. The theme: the plight of street children forced into labor early in life and denied the opportunity of schooling. See, Sahib-e-Alam, he wanted to go to school, he wanted to get education, but what happened to him was quite unjust. He started working in a tea stall and would most probably never get a chance to go to school. And the same situation is with Mukesh. He never went to school, and with his family condition, there is no chance of any schooling. So, this is what the chapter is trying to focus on: the plight of the street children. And then there is a sub theme: the callousness of the society and the political class to the sufferings of the poor. That how the politicians and the so called strong people, the rich people, the powerful people, they promise a lot, but they actually don't do anything at the ground level. So, when help is not provided by those who can help, who are capable enough to do so, the people like the bangle makers, the people living in Simapuri suffer, and the heaviest baggage is imposed on the children. They lose their childhood. And that is how the title is completely justified: Lost Spring, Losing Childhood. Stories of stolen childhood, stolen by the poverty, the traditions, the apathy of everyone, the society, is the reason behind the spring, the childhood lost by Sahib, Mukesh, and many others. So, after reading the chapter, the reader must develop empathy, if not empathy, then sympathy at least, towards such children, and realize that because they have got an opportunity to be healthy, to be happy, educated, prosperous, they must never lose it and try to help such children as much as possible. Thank you.